If there are none, let us get on to this. So Industry 4.0, and as the word says, compulsion, right? So it's no more a nice to have, it is a must have, because large vendors have started asking as a part of their vendor evaluation, do you have an Industry 4.0 initiative? If so, what is the plan? How much of your processes are Industry 4.0 compliant? So now the market is asking, whether we like or not, there is a push from the market. Why? Because in turn there is a push, especially in India now. For example, if you have seen defense deals, 26,000 crores the government of India is spending on defense, and the acquisitions are all from India under Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, all these large companies who have taken those contracts, there is a requirement that 30% of things they have to source from a small and medium enterprise or, from startups. Now, those guys are struggling to get MSME partners who can match those kind of skills and those kind of products and processes. So now when they are picking it, they're very clear. And companies are under pressure. They want commitment from their vendors that they are modernizing. Are they able to get on to the next level? So now it's become a compulsion rather than a nice to have. Yes, please. Okay, if you look at this, you see two colors here. One is kind of that greenish thing, and the other one is orange. So the green ones are the ones which are existing organizations. What makes it Industry 4.0 is all those orange things, when you put it in, it becomes what is called as a Industry 4.0 compliant in very layman terms, right? Yeah, let's get on to the next one. So here you see, we are talking Industry 4.0 is the fourth generation of industrial revolution, as it is called. So earlier, before industrialization, it was all what was called a village economy. The village was self-contained. Service providers like, let us say, a jeweler, the farmer. Then you had goldsmith, or rather the blacksmith, carpenters. All of these guys were from the village, and they all used to make their products and services for the population of this village. They were self-contained. This was before the industrialization. Now, the first round of industrialization came in when the steam engine was discovered, right? Till then, where was the extra power that used to come? It used to come out of horses and oxen. So we used to have these carriages and stuff like that to carry goods from one place to another place. If you are in the agriculture field, you actually do the plowing or things like that using this animals and carriages. That is what was the situation. Now, the moment steam engine was identified or it was discovered, the things changed dramatically. First time factories came up, and the power came not from the ox and horses and stuff like that. It came from steam engines, and then that is how the first industrialization started. It's somewhere around late 1700s. And if you see on the y-axis here, the blue dot there is, but productivity was very low. And then by the next maybe 100 years, the second industrial revolution actually started. Why? Because you had energy or electricity that was discovered. So mechanization went, instead of being driven by steam, it got replaced by electricity. And electricity came back, and then the whole. So this became the second revolution. And if you look at this, the productivity went up. Third revolution, subsequently after all the Second World War and all of that, it came in when the computer started. So we started adopting computer in business processes. We did some kind of automation. We had robots and stuff like that. And today the world predominantly is still in the third revolution. This is where concepts of mass production, TQM, total quality management, lean, Six Sigma, all of these particular things were relevant at this point of time. And the productivity definitely went up when compared to the two previous generations of industrialization. Then what is the fourth industrial revolution? This is where you bring in the internet into your business processes. You are bringing in more connected world. You are bringing in more automation, not just automation. You are bringing in smart automation, right? For example, the simple thing is, if you have a pump at home, the traditional method is if you don't have water in your overhead tank, you come back and on the motor or the pump, and the water will get pumped from the sump to the overhead tank. And then how do you know when to stop? When it starts overflowing, you come back. So there's a lot of inefficiency here because water is getting wasted. What if there is no water in the sump? Then you could lose the pump itself, you lose the motor. So now what did they do? They started putting in sensors. Today, automatic level systems. If the overhead tank level of water is less, and if you see there is water in the pump, you don't need human intervention. It is not time based. It can automatically on and ensure that water is getting pumped. And without spilling, the moment it reaches certain level, it can actually off itself. Sensors, but they're still not wireless. They're all wired. Still is not fourth generation Industry 4.0, but still a little bit of automation. Can you make the wireless sensors? Can this talk to your device wirelessly through Bluetooth or through Wi-Fi or through what is called as NFC or through RFID? There are so many different ways. Now that is fourth generation of industrialization, and you see what actually happens to the productivity. Actually, the highest among these three generations. Now that is what every industry is trying to reorganize themselves. Why? Because who is going to become our next big customers? It is Gen Z. If you have children at home, you now know how picky they are. Nothing satisfies them. They want more customization, right? So this is putting pressure. Everybody is coming back, and sometimes it is working against mass production. It is coming back and then talking more about customization. But all our systems here we are organized in such a way that it is towards mass production. Now suddenly you see you'll have problems. The whole way you have organized your business model needs to actually change, because it's not scale that you are getting now. Your flexibility has to come in. You need dexterity in your business processes to customize it, still make profits. How do we organize ourselves? What do we do? That is what is the fourth industrial revolution, basically. Yes, please. Yeah, the same thing here. If you look at the fourth one, cyber physical system. So you have your physical systems. You are bringing in the cyber, which is the internet, basically. And then there are a lot of other things that will actually happen. Basically. Tons of data gets generated because, as I was telling you, just imagine, guys, if you are using Google Maps and you are going from one place to another place 1 hour, you know how much amount of data is getting generated, because every second there are 8 data points. Okay, if you are talking about 1 minute, which is 60 seconds, 60 into 8, 480 data points has generated for 1 minute. Similarly, for 60 minutes, that is the volume of data every time you're using. So this way there are so many devices. It's a connected world. So there will be an explosion of data. How do we manage this data? If you want to make that intelligence, you need that data. You can't ignore the data. It's like gold. No wise man will throw away gold, right? They'll actually keep it. Now the question is, if you keep gold just as it is nothing. You'll have to convert that into maybe ornaments or something like that, a ring or whatever it is, right? So that's the point now. So these are some new challenges that will come in under a industry 4.0 scenario. Yes, please. Let's get on. Yeah, again, product life cycle. As I was telling you, the cost of customer acquisition is so expensive. It's so difficult to get a customer. And if you don't get full value out of that customer, what is the point? Our business models are not friendly at all. Sometimes it's a transaction, it ends with an order. But look at the auto industry. What do? They start making money with that customer because it does not end with selling a automobile. And there is a service, there is so many things. So you get one customer, the value is across so many years. It does not end with that. Now, look at the TV manufacturer. They don't get that benefit. Sometimes the manufacturer does not even know who their customers are. Washing machine, some of these white goods, this thing, majority of those which SMEs actually deal with, it is highly transactional and the value proposition is very less. Can we play this around through technology so that we can milk this relationship? Instead of 1x, 2x kind of a benefit out of a customer, can we get 10x benefit or even 4x benefit? Yeah, can we add this thing? Can we do something in the business process which will ensure continued kind of an interaction and revenue with our customers? Right? So that's what across product life cycle can we actually do this? We'll talk about this. This is what is typically called as customer connect. Okay. Yes, please. Let's get on to the next. So if you look at it, these are some of those technologies adoption which will help us meet that industry 4.0 this thing. Cloud computing, mobile technology. So obviously you will have this data, large volume of data, it has to be in the cloud because physical servers are extremely expensive and you can't work on that. And you need some kind of an application. So if you say your industry 4.0, if you don't have an application, then it does not. So you will need some kind of an application, mobile app. Then this machine to machine sensors talking, one machine talking to the other, like I gave you that example. 3D printing, alternate. For example, I don't know how many of you have bought a suitcase in the last 3 to 6 months. If you're doing international travel, if you are trying to buy a suitcase, you will not get those traditional suitcases at all. They're all gone. New generation. What does that mean? All are carbon fiber. It is not only lighter, but it is much more stronger. Especially people who have traveled abroad. 22 kgs is the limit, out of which traditionally 4.5 kgs used to be the basic, weight of the traditional suitcase. Today it's 1.5 kgs. It is lighter. It is stronger. It can hold more. You can take more things, even though the limit is the same. How did they do? They substituted fiberglass and those kind of things which were traditionally used as materials in suitcase making with carbon fiber. How did they do those experiments? They used 3D printing. Today, is there an opportunity? Can you know your customer and their business, and you know the market what are the limitations? Can you replace that? Can you print? Can you experiment this without having large foundries, that this, etc.? Print this just like you have a normal printer. You need a laptop or a desktop associated with a printer. Can you set up a 3D lab in your office? Can you start printing? Can you? And all these are not expensive. Suddenly you see your ability to do new things, innovate. What all can you print now? You can print plastics. You can print steel. You can print carbon fiber. IISc, right in front of IISc in Malleshwaram, you have The post office. It was printed using IISC technology. Please remember, it was not built. That building was not built like normal building, where you need foundation, of course. After that, walls, you need bricks. You need masons to actually do this. Then you need plastering. You know, need all of those particular things. That's how a traditional building is actually built. You know what they did? They did 3D printing. Buildings for print. Recently, Tesla has launched low-cost houses. Low-cost houses. All you need is just set it up. Within days, your house is ready. All prefabricated. Costs are low, it is faster, and it is durable. Now just imagine, guys. So 3D printing is another, and it is, if you ask me, with the talent that SMEs have, you just need to adopt 3D. There's no discussion at all. And these printers are not going to cost you lakhs and lakhs of rupees. They are all actually affordable. All it needs, just like how you have a printer already, maybe you have a laser printer now, you need a 3D printer. Of course, you need to have certain few things to actually make that. But just imagine tremendous ability to innovate, come out with new products. This thing, you already have relationship with your customers. Can you sell something different for them? Can you help them win certain things? Why should it be in steel? Why can't it be in carbon fiber? It is lighter, it is cheaper, right? Things like that. Then robotics, not just robotics, advanced robotics, again smart robotics, where it can take its own decisions basically. Okay. Then big data, of course, we did talk about this. You need the clouds, wherein this data will actually go and store there, and then it can be processed at that particular place. Internet of Things, definitely yes. Sensors talking to each other, wireless. Hence, we are talking about this. There is some receiver. So classic example here of an IoT is our FASTag. You have on your windshield, an antenna or a sticker which has an antenna, right? And then as you start going down, that is RFID. And on the other side, there is a receiver. It senses each other, then debits your account, and then suddenly you see the boom opens and then you're rushing. So there's no human intervention. How did this technology work? It was based on RFID technology, but this is classical IoT. The Wi-Fi at your home, classic Internet of Things. If you have a smartphone, sorry, you have a smart camera and then you're doing this. The glasses that I showed you, all of these are based on IoT because whatever is doing, I have an app on my phone. They talk to each other. All I have to do is take a photograph. That photograph that was taken will come to my phone automatically. For example, let me see if I took this photograph and for example, see guys, are you able to see? These are the photograph that I took from my smart glasses. Okay, so now that was working on IoT. Then of course we talked about RFID. Then cognitive computing. There is nothing but other name of artificial intelligence. Then of course all of these are exposed to the internet. So you need cyber security to ensure that data is secure. And then nobody actually hacks this. So you need to protect that. So these are the technology pillars that are used. Either one or many of them, if you adopt in your organization, you are talking about an industry 4.0 compliant situation. You adopt 3D printing, straight away you can claim, yeah, I'm compliant to industry 4.0 basically principles. Then you're building in some IoT kind of solutions, yes, you have this. So a lot of things can actually happen slowly. It is modular. You don't have to do big things, smaller things, precisely, stable, perfected, and start making a part of this. Then suddenly you see you have so much amount of capabilities. You can scale your business without having to do too many things. Okay, without depending on human Okay. Yeah. Let's get on to the next one, please. Yeah, of course. What are the benefits? Efficiency, agility. Agility is the ability to be. Elephants are not agile, right? Whereas a cheetah is agile. It can change. It can do this. Okay. So that's what agility is. Innovation. It's pursuing more innovation. Customer satisfaction improves. Yeah. Then of course, costs are reduced because as I was telling you, machines does not ask for leave. They don't ask for increases. They are available. They are never tired because they keep doing repeatedly over and over again. And if they have smartness of doing things without we having to micromanage, that is what is actually required. Because of this, cost tremendously comes down. Because we did talk about agility. Yes, please. Yeah, interoperability. These are some of those things because machines have to talk to machines. You should ensure. So it could be from two different makes, but they have to talk to each other. For example, I might have, let us say, a smartwatch of some other make. I might have a smart phone of a different make, but they need to talk to each other. Why? Because they are interoperable. So some of these systems should ensure that irrespective of this, so some kind of standardization. Bluetooth is highly standardized. Wi-Fi things are standardized. RFID is standardized. So handshake, this versus that, interoperable. Then, of course, real time, which we have been talking about. Decentralization, majority of the times, if you look at it, if in comics and some of these particular things we see, movies, superhero, Superman, that man, this man, etc. Right? The owner of a small enterprise is almost like a Superman. Everything is resolved around this. If he takes his eye away, then everything falls. He has to constantly, everything is on his shoulders, right? So now decentralization, some of this load can be taken away from the owner. Machines can do for you, right? So suddenly decentralization, it gives you more bandwidth to spend more time with your customers. Understand this so that your business can actually grow, right? Yeah, of course, virtualization, more and more dashboards, more and more things which are digital in nature. Okay, so that is what virtualization will actually happen. A virtual world you are ultimately creating through your network and stuff like that. Modular need not be all at one. You can keep on adding small things. And over, let us say, 5 years, 10 years, suddenly you see you redefined your business and you're doing small things. You don't have to do the big bang. The probability of losing something, probability of not working, failure is very high when you try to do a big bang job. Do smaller things, keep it stabilized, then work, etc. So suddenly you're working. It's very modular in nature. Then service oriented, as I was telling you, it enables you to service your clients more. You can actually put some sensors in those particular things, get some data based on which you can build more services, right? That is what is the customer connect across the life cycle of the product. Okay, yes, please. Yeah. Then later you have, of course, we did talk about that industry 4.0 technologies. And on the right side, if you see, you have two things: the real world or the physical assets, the factory, machines, etc. Then there is a layer called as digitalization, which connects between the real world and the digital enterprise. And above that, you see all of those particular things is what will actually happen. The digital part, that is the difference. Earlier, you had only the real part. The digital enterprise is what makes it different now. And this is what makes it Industry 4.0. Very powerful. Your strategy based on data can bring back, it can do so many things. It can generate things through AI. It can scrub the internet and bring in certain kind of data and then club with your data to come out with much more information. Once you have data, you have generated data, then you're king. That's what they say is the new oil, right? The new generation data is the new oil, as they say. How oil was very this thing. Now data has actually become as valuable as oil or much more valuable than. That's how you see the tech industry. All those top industries that are there are ruled by tech companies. Slowly you see. So they had to transform themselves into tech companies, right? So if you see Tesla today, it's a new technology company. And it was not there. It is not a regular automobile organization. It is not Ford which brought in. It is not General Motors. It is not Hyundai. It is not all of this. Traditional automobile industries did not do what this fellow did. He brought in an EV, which is third level of adaptive this thing. Now the normal industry could not do. It's a new generation thing. Why? Because he adopted some of this particular things. Okay, yes, please. Yeah. So majority of the times, this is where I was saying the pressure is coming from the mother companies across the supply chain, right? So it is not just in isolation. You will be tremendous. Suppose you go back and tell your customer that yes, boss, we have adopted Industry 4.0 and this is what it is. Suddenly you see you'll become more valuable than your other competitors, right? Because they will look at you as an innovative organization. You're doing something new. You will get more favors, or when they're giving you orders and compared to others, because you're more evolved than those particular people from a technology standpoint. Yes, please. Yeah, some of the skills that are required for adoption of Industry 4.0 in organizations: critical thinking, real-time decision making, service orientation or scalability, problem solving, cognitive intelligence or AI, then of course innovation. So all of those particular things are needed to help you to adopt Industry 4.0 within your organization. Yes, please.